Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Asia Pacific Dance Festival's Moving Forward project, a conversation with participants in the festival from years past. We'll be hosting a different participant each month through November, and we hope to see you back for all of our broadcasts. My name is Tim Slaughter. I'm the director of the festival. I'd like to take a moment and thank our sponsors, the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, the East-West Center, the University of Hawaii, and our friends of the Asia Pacific Dance Festival. You too can become a friend of APDF. Just check the chat function for the website to become a friend. Now I'd like to introduce this evening's host, Yuki Shiroma. Yuki is co-founder and artistic director of the mass theater company Monkey Waterfall. Yuki is a dancer, choreographer, and recipient of an Individual Artist Fellowship Award from the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts. She's also a valuable member of the Asia Pacific Dance Festival Organizing Committee. Take it away, Yuki.
Thank you, Tim. Very, very honored. Thank you for having me host tonight. This is very special for me. Very honored, very happy to be introducing Michael Lanakila Casupang, who I've known for many, many years. I think we were hired at the same time at Mid-Pacific Institute in 1987. He was hired to teach choir, and I was hired to teach dance in the soon-to-be-created Mid-Pacific School of the Arts. So Lanakila was our resident hula instructor for the Asia Pacific Festival in 2015. And so happy to have him here. I want to tell you a little bit about him. Kind of brag a little bit, Lanakila. After he was hired at Mid-Pacific to teach choir, a year later, he joined the dance program and started the school Hālau, the Mid-Pacific Hālau, called Pupuka'i I Ke Alo o Nā Pua. And they have traveled internationally, won numerous awards, and performed to much acclaim. In 1995, under the guidance of his kumu hula, Robert Casimiro, Lanakila became a kumu hula. With his fellow kumu hula, Carl Vito Baker, they started Hālau I Ka Wēkiu and a music group called Kums. In addition to many previous awards, two of the Merry Monarch performances really stand out because they won the overall title for the Merry Monarch Festival in 2007 and 2012. They won the overall title. So we are so honored to have him join us tonight and to hear not only what he did with us at the festival in 2015, but also maybe he can share some exciting things that he's doing now. Lanakila, welcome.
Aloha, everyone. Aloha kako. Hi, Yuki. We go way, way back, and we haven't seen each other for a very long time. So we've been able to catch up on everything we've both been doing. And so it's wonderful for me to be here and talk about our participation in the Asia Pacific Dance Festival, but also to be talking with you, Yuki, and everyone out there. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Yes. So going back to the festival, Lanakila, what you teach in very diverse situations, and I've seen you just adapt so easily to any population of students, whether they be local students or hula students or dance students or foreign students who don't even speak English. So I am so excited about hearing what you thought about the festival.
Well, it was interesting because, and I can't believe that it was 6 years ago. And part of the festival is bringing dancers from around the world, some local, wanting to explore. In this case, there was a course as part of the festival called Dance and World Cultures. So hula was
Mhm.
representative
That's
of that. And I think, as Yuki said, I teach at Mid-Pacific, and we mostly have kids that are here from Hawaii, most of them with no dance background. There's some that have other types of dance background, but at this festival, we have those students that joined us were steeply danced in, whether it be ballet or contemporary dance, other forms of dance. And the challenge, which I always like a challenge, the challenge was to try to ask them to take those body postures and the way that they danced and kind of put that on the side, because every dance form has their own way that they move and actually use the body. And so, it was a challenge to get them to try to put that on the side and get into the foundation of hula and how I was taught by my kumu, Robert Uluvehi Casimiro. I think, when it comes to dance, it's universal. The expression of dance is universal, and it doesn't matter where you come from. What I did with our students was to teach them a song, teach them the basics first, but teach them a song where they could actually come and see what this song is truly about. And it was a song that was written for where our Hālau is, in Punch Bowl near Pauoa, near Puʻowaina,
Mhm.
which is the Hawaiian name for Punch Bowl. And our property is called Keonaunalani. So the song that was written for the place, we studied it first, taught them a little bit about the language, the history of the mele, the song itself, and then brought them here. And they actually got to dance here on our pa hula, or our hula stage here. So trying to give them that full experience, and not just, here's a song, I can't take you there, but just, really involving them in that land-based that is important to the art of hula. Yeah.
And that makes it all more meaningful.
Yeah.
But the way you approach your teaching of even history or language is very unique. And you came in with talking about fashion, right? I think that's a great way to get into the same kinds of information, but in different ways for students.
That's part of my that was probably the height of Project Runway.
Oh,
And because as a kumu hula you have to design your costumes, but that's something that intrigues me, is that, and one thing that we shared in one of our workshops is how Hawaiian history has shaped what hula costumes and the evolving of that. And later on I'll talk about a piece that you folks are going to see later, that the costume has to reflect what the essence of that piece is. So we did a unit on the fashion of hula, and taking it through different time periods and showing how different hula would be represented in this type of
right,
costume, based on what was
right.
happening at that time or where that song was from. Yeah.
And can we see one of the pieces as we're talking about? It was actually one of my favorite pieces that you choreographed when I was still at Mid Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
And the costumes, you always did such wonderful costume designs for the students. This one was incredible. This one was
Oh, thank
really,
you.
so
Thank
maybe
you.
you can talk about how you came to this idea for costumes. Maybe we should see the piece first.
Yeah, let's see it first. That'll help
So,
me refresh my memory.
so describe what we're going to see.
Well, we're going to see Eevee. It's called Eevee Leo Kolonahe. And this was around 2003, I
Hmm.
believe.
Hmm.
And the artist is Kaumaka Iva, excuse me, Kaumaka Iva Kanaka Ole.
Kana'ole.
And this was Kaumaka Iva's debut. And it is the music that always moves me first, that wants me to choreograph something and to create. And so I don't want to give away too much, but it speaks of the Eevee Leo Kolonahe, the Eevee, which is a native Hawaiian bird, and its sweet voice. And the lehua that is placed on high in the mist becomes this, is attractive to this Eevee. You'll hear different language, you'll hear music, and so maybe let's just show it and we can talk about it after.
Let's watch this. So, talk about the costumes there. That
You know, what I wanted to highlight were really not just the colors of the lehua or the Eevee, but more the native Hawaiian bird colors. You know, there's that green, there's red, there's yellow. Um, and just behind the scenes, and it's basically just a black dress, so that what is going to be highlighted is the movement of that chiffon, you know, and the lightness of it, and to suggest that lightness of the birds, but without getting too literal. Um, and the black dress really was just the backdrop so that this could pop, you know, so that color could pop. Um, and if you notice, that was a large cast, and I didn't know how
yes,
big that cast was, but this is the backstory. So the original chiffons were that three colored, but when the fabric store runs out of it, you just have to. Some of them were solid red, right? So that's why you saw that. But Michael would do that all the time. He would not always match everything. You know, if there was one or two that had a different colored shirt, it's just to throw it off, you know, just to give that little pop of something different.
right.
So I'm a product of my kumu, definitely, when it comes to staging and costuming, to keep the eye moving. Like, you don't know where you want to look. There's that slow part in there that I really liked when I did that, is because it then takes you into almost a dream state when everything is moving slowly, and it makes the fast stuff, you know, it
Hmm.
highlights that when you have that duality there, you know. So that kind of variety is what I mean. In the music, I mean, you heard
Right,
besame, you know.
right.
For those who don't speak Spanish, that means kiss me, you know. So there's definitely this love story in here, and there was that seduction, and that's what, you know, really the character of that. And I'm glad that this was done pre-COVID, because it's, you know, we can't as hula dancers, sometimes we're like having to express with just the eyes, which is a great challenge, but to be able to see the entire face, and that expression is everything when it comes to dance, any type of dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, at Mid Pacific, in our annual concerts, we share the stage many times,
Hmm.
and comments from the parents and other audience members and uh, dancers were that how how does how does Lanakila choreograph to make these seamless transitions and these groupings, and where the different facings and stillness and changing of tempo, and that's a very unique and very modern uh,
Mm.
kind of, where does this come from, and what's your inspiration
Uh,
for
you know,
that, because it's beautiful.
I don't know if I think it's osmosis. I think it's been exposed to our kumu and the way he did things. Like, he would turn people to the diagonal, and then you got some people facing front, and it's just having that experience of this is what he did. And it I wasn't ever taught it, you know, like in a class, or he's saying you got to do this. It was just that this is how we were trained, and so it's so natural to be able to do that. It's not just like, get on the stage, we're going to stay in three lines and we'll do the piece. Yes, that's for like the more traditional, that's more acceptable. But when a piece like Eevee, I think most of what you're going to see is taking the traditional. We have to start with the traditional steps for sure in any dance form, but be able to go out of that and to create, for, like, the show is entitled, moving forward. In order to
Right.
move your art forward, you still have to be able to create, and that's what, my kumu taught us that well. He would say, and his kumu would say, take what I've given you and make it better, make it your own. And so that's what I've tried to do throughout, everything that we do create. Yeah.
Right. Well, but you have something special we were always jealous
Oh,
as choreographers, thinking, how come Lanakila can do this so beautifully? And not just the choreography, but your costume designs and everything.
Thank you.
The hair was just very classy piece that was.
Thank you.
Another question about choreography, do you go in with movements like this one? You started with the music that you enjoyed, and then you go into the movements on yourself and then present it to the dancers?
Yeah, I normally, like, if there's a piece of music that moves me or there's the poetry that moves me, I basically, because I'm a hit and miss choreographer, like what I do is I'll take my computer. This is just what I do. I'll take my computer and I'll just set it up and I'll let it run. Because sometimes you come up with great stuff and sometimes you don't. And I can't always remember what I did that was good. What did I just do?
Mm-hmm.
And so that record of it, and then of course you look at stuff like, that's not so good. Or when you put it on your students, then it really doesn't look good. So it's really it's a trial and error.
Yes.
It's even things that I've choreographed like say 20 years ago and I revisit it. I like to update it or sometimes I want to leave it like that because that was me then. You know,
right.
and I think all of us as choreographers, our choreography evolves as we mature.
Right.
As we mature, our art also matures. You know, our choreography matures.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to look at another piece that you did in 2015, because this is also talking about moving forward.
Okay.
This is also a piece about your looking at tradition and making it modern. So
you want a background first? Yeah. Should we talk about it first?
Sure.
A little bit? Well,
sure.
And if there's people that I know out there, go ahead and laugh. If you know me, I do not surf. I grew up in the mainland, and chlorine pools were my place of water exercise. So when I came to Hawaii when I was 16, like the ocean didn't feel comfortable to me. Like it's so big. It's not like, you know, and so surfing was not anything I ever tried. This song has to do with that. Not me having a surfing lesson, but it talks about one of our students in our Hālau didn't know how to surf. And his hula brother says, hey, let's go surfing. I'll teach you how. And that's how this song came about. And it goes through all the steps of learning how to paddle, how to prepare your board, going into pule before, you know, bless yourself before you go in the water, sitting on the board, watching the waves, being able to stand up. So that's what you're going to see. So this was from 2004 Merry Monarch. And Yuki and I were talking earlier, and she remembers this because it really was pushing the envelope of hula. And there was quite a controversy about, I don't know if there's quite a controversy, but people were talking about it.
Yes.
You know, is this hula? You know, but of course, I mean, it's a Hawaiian song. When it comes to awana, which is the more modern version where we have, you know, guitar, piano, ukulele, voice rather than the ipu or the pahu, then that's called awana, which means to wander, to be able to veer off, you know, away from the traditional. And so it's pretty much open. And we have hula steps in there. It's a little more, little more theatrical? Sure. Does it tell the story? I'll let you decide. This is Ha'awina He'enalu, the surfing lesson.
Yes.
Ehele, ehele ka o Waikiki, e Ha'awina He'enalu kei, a kau kau no ia Ha'awina. Ehele no kākou, ia hana kahana kākou. O oli uri hui ka He'enalu, kāna haina I kau kanuhi. Amo I ka aila pale la makari hilali. Maka papa He'enalu. Ke hoa, e aha e aha. go surfing.
Hāʻi!
Gosh. Wow.
So, what was controversial about that piece?
First of all, I think the costumes probably caught people off guard because we was wearing a rash guard. Board shorts, puka shell necklace. I mean, if you've seen any other performance of Merry Monarch, maybe the gentleman might be wearing long pants and aloha shirts and plumeria leis, and it really, I think, might have been the first time that, you know, something like that had been seen. So of course people are going to talk, but that did win first place. So the judges thought it was great. They didn't see that there was a problem with it. Otherwise, it probably may not have placed. We were surprised for sure, pleasantly surprised. But I think it told the story, and hula is supposed to tell a story. And I'm sure all of you that watched that for the first time could tell what it was about and don't have to like know the Hawaiian words, but you could see the movement, you could see what was happening throughout. So, you know, that's our jobs, I believe, as choreographers and as teachers, is to, you know, be able to tell a story with everything that we present. So yeah, we enjoyed that. You know, that last part when the guy went under the wave, like at the end,
Yes.
that wasn't in the original choreography, but I guess we put that in just for, you know, that probably
Just,
may have got us penalized, who knows. But
oh,
for the show, you can do anything for a show, but when it comes to competition, you gotta like, you know, certain parameters. But yeah, that's definitely a great memory for us, and to see it performed again.
but
That's
I think, you know, I
yeah.
think you probably opened the door for many other halau to experiment like that, you know, and I think it was wonderful, and the judges thought it was worthy of first place. So there, right?
Oh, Yuki, you should be a judge.
I am.
Yeah.
So this next one, let's watch this next one, which is the last one from the last clip from 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one is just a little backstory. I won't tell too much. It speaks of a story about a woman named Hainakolo. Hainakolo is a Hawaiian woman, and she fell in love with a Tahitian man. And you know, she was so in love with him. What did she do? She moved. She moved to Tahiti to live with him, to be with her love. But she was so homesick, and it didn't turn out the way she wanted it to. Does that sound like regular life? Of course. So she swam back. She didn't catch Hawaiian Airlines. It wasn't around that time. She swam back. By the time she came back to Hawaii Island, she was famished. She was tired, as you can imagine.
Yes.
So she scaled the cliffs of Wēkiu Valley on Hawaii Island looking for something to eat, and she ravaged the ule berries. Thing she forgot to do was give an offering first. To offer, before taking for yourself, you offer to the gods. And she didn't do that. She didn't offer that ho'okupu, the offering. So the kahiko you're going to see is, again, I wouldn't say it's totally traditional, but it's kahiko. There's some theatrical parts in it. And then it's going to go into a more modern piece that uses this ho'okupu motive, this movement within it, to refer back to the story of Hainakolo.
Okay.
This story concerns the marriage of Hainakolo to a king of Kukulu o Kahiki. She travels to far off Kahiki with her husband, leaving her homeland. But as time progresses, he deserts her. In her despair, Hainakolo swims back to Hawaii, and the first sight of land is Wēkiu Valley on Hawaii Island. Tired from swimming, she climbs the valley walls in search of food. She finds ule berries, but forgets the age-old tradition of offering a sacrifice, a ho'okupu, to the gods, and ate ravenously, trying to appease her own hunger. As punishment for her neglect, she loses all sense of reason and lived as a wild animal within Wēkiu Valley. Sometime later, her husband repented his neglect and came in search of his wife. All he found was a wild woman whom he recognized as his long-lost wife. After consulting with wise men and the gods, through proper offerings and ho'okupu, she was purged of her madness. The two of them moved back to Kahiki. Let us never forget to make proper offerings or a ho'okupu to show our gratitude.
Wēkiu pakalana ka pae pae kapu ka pae pae kapu 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 o iloa e
Oh
Okay.
gosh, I don't even remember doing these things. I don't. This is so great that there's videos because I couldn't.
Sometimes it's
could-
great.
I couldn't restage that, but it's good to like see what we were up to back then.
But we have two dates for the choreography, 1978 and 2014.
Okay, so the
What?
Waipi Opaka Alana was choreographed by our kumu back in 1978.
Mm.
There was also the girls' choreo. So the men that came in later, that was our kumu's choreography. The women that started that Kahiko Waipi Opaka Alana was from 1996 when we choreographed this for Kamehameha School's Ho'ike. And then was it 2014?
14. Yeah.
That's
Yes.
when that second piece, that modern with the tech along with chanting in it, was first choreographed 7 years ago. And I need to mention that Patrick Mukuakane worked with me on that piece as well. He lives in San Francisco. He's my hula brother,
Right.
has a Hālau up there, and he happened to be here, and I was like, hey, let's try something together, and that's where that came out of.
Right.
Yeah.
He's very innovative.
Major, in a great way.
And so, how much of that piece, the choreography, was traditional, and how much of it was new? Because you have a way of, which I always admire. You have a way of blending seamlessly.
It definitely has feet work that is, well, I would say that ho'okupu, the second part, is just my way of fulfilling that dancer that I always wanted to be, but was too shy when I was younger to go take dance classes. So I'm not trained, but I just dabble and I see things that I like and I'll just try this. So yeah, it's my way of fulfilling that unfulfilled part of my life when I was younger.
I don't know. You used to come running through the studio, our studios, leaping across the floor.
Oh,
And the
goodness.
students
then
would say, "Isn't that the hula teacher?"
just to shake them up a bit.
Okay, so now I want to see what you're doing now, because this is many, many, many years later. Well, 6
Mhm.
years later. Feels like a
Okay.
long time. Feels like a long time because last year was 5 years long, I think.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was. Now we're into the
so
10th year.
yes. So talk about this. What we're going to see this
Okay.
clip here from 2021.
So 2021, everything that you're going to see right now was from this past show that we did on May 1st. It was called Wēkiu Aloha. And during, I would say 1 year prior, we had been on Zoom teaching our students for a very long time until, gosh, it might have been, I don't remember when things open up, and I can't remember when that was, but we were teaching everybody on Zoom, trying to figure out how to teach them. And so, like every dance teacher has learned how to Zoom, has learned how to like upload videos, just to be able to get them to figure out another way to keep them engaged, because we know that coming to Hālau is as much cultural as it is social, and for the nurturing of the person to be around people that enjoy the same, that the same art of hula. So we couldn't just like, okay, we'll wait till we can be in person. We'll see you in like a year or two. We we have to keep going.
Right.
We have to keep dancing, because if we stop dancing, then what happens to our art form? And so we always have to adapt. We have to be flexible. And so these pieces most of them were taught on Zoom. There were this first piece that is a tribute to Mauna Kea. August 2019, of course, was when TMT and Mauna Kea were having, there were issues there about the sacredness of the mountain, the progress of science, and where do we draw the line. So there was a group of artists and composers that came up with a CD of songs to honor Mauna Kea, to honor Holy Ahu and all the deities that reside there for Pu'u Hulu Hulu. And so this first one is a modern composition, He Mamoau, and followed by Live on My Hawaiʻi. Kind of, it's in English, and it basically says, thinking like years down, what if we don't have those waterfalls? Why don't we, if we don't have the oceans? What if we don't have this and that? What is Hawaii going to be like if we don't take care of those spaces and those places that are sacred to us? So this was our way of our own commentary on love the land, care for the land. So you're going to see that it is shot in different locations. So our students in smaller groups went to places around the island of their choice. They practiced in smaller groups, and they filmed it for themselves. And so on iPhones, like, it's amazing what you can capture on an iPhone. And what I learned throughout this pandemic is I now got into film editing out of necessity. And I learned off of YouTube. So these are all edits. I wore another hat, and that's editing. And Live on My Hawaii, the English one, is filmed on location at Mauna Lua Bay, at the backyard of one of our students, Leilani Williams Solomon. And it was actually a few days after she had sold the property and she had to move. So this was like a beautiful way to like capture the essence of her home. And so, these video pieces that we are doing these days are so monumental in what they represent. And so, I enjoy this type of virtual performances. I enjoy the editing and going out instead of having people come to us onto a stage. Like I like that part of that's it's afforded us. So this is He Mamoau and Live on My Hawaii.
He mamoa no pu'uhuluhulu I ka malua o maunga wakea Mauna ki e noho I ke kapu 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 ke aloha na kia I
Hanau ka mauna ke ai, o pu'ua e ka mauna ke ai. O hanau ka mauna ke ai, o pu'ua e ka mauna ke ai.
Kukia I mauna me ka lokahi Kahi hano hano ana kupuna Pula mamau ia ka wahine Poli ahu ka wahine I ke kapahau
O wakea ke kane o papa walinu ka wahine o wakea ke kane o papa walinu ka wahine
Ki lepa lepa ka hae ka makani E velo mau ana huhae o Waipuna lau ke aloha kanaka E o e mauna ke a huaina
Hanau ho'oku he wahine, hanau haloa he ali, hanau ka mauna ke ai, he keiki mauna na ke ai, he keiki mauna na ke ai.
He mamoa no pu'uhuluhulu I ka malua o maunga wakea Mauna ki e noho I ke kapu E o e mauna kea Remember when the sea touched the sand, our native people walking hand in hand. There was a time when mountains touched the sky, the secrets of the land, just for you and I. Remember when she felt passion and a pain when she cried. She felt
Hey, we're back.
And you know, the thing that the pandemic did is forced us to find different dancing spaces, right? Yes. And
Yes.
so that is wonderful how you were able to have your students do that. And I, I remember asking you, Lanakila, what did you learn over the pandemic? Did you learn how to bake bread or something? And you said, no, I learned how to edit video. So you
Uh,
learned well. Yeah.
yeah, thanks. And what I like about it is like the audience is so far reaching than anyone coming. You know, you'd have to fly to Oahu to be able
Right.
to see any of our performances or,
Right.
you know, wherever we are. But, you know, we had people in Japan watching, Germany, mainland at all, you know. And so that's one of the great things is that our art can reach so much further.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can even use your house
Yes. So
to film.
this next segue. So this song is pretty traditional. It's not so out there. It's Awana, but it honors the Kene Kene Le. The composer is Kaipono Hale, who is our
Mm.
neighbor. He lives right down the street, and he wrote this song for his love for the Kene Kene. And this one is filmed as at our house. And if you can imagine me on a ladder with my iPhone shooting down to the walkway that goes around our Hālau to the entrance. This is Leipua Kene Kene.
Okay.
Ia o e ka leipua keni keni ea ka pua kaulana I ke ona ona ka ua I ke ala o ke au noe ea o hi hana I ke ake kamakani Ilihi a kamana o ke I ke aku Pau aku uho me kau I ka hano ea E ka waihilana o au ai o limu Huana ku umele a ilohe ia ea Aloha no ka le pua keni keni Pua keni keni Pua keni keni
Yes.
Hey,
Very,
welcome to
very,
our home.
very creative. Yes. And that's what you do, right? You don't
We
have a
have
big
to,
space. You just
right?
dance in a line on your lanai.
Yeah,
Love it.
thank
And
you.
the last one, we should get to that since we're getting close to end here.
Okay,
This next one is
I'll pronounce
exciting.
it for you. How's that?
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you.
So this one is called whakarongo. It's a Maori word from New Zealand, a Maori word that means heed or obey or listen to the call. This group is called Aonua. They use Maori and English, and I believe it's all synthesized music. Again, the music is what has inspired me, like when I heard it. And this is a group of girls from Mid-Pacific. They just graduated, class of 2021, who went half the year virtual and the second half in person for most of them. And this was filmed by Tony Johansson. Thank you, Tony. On our Mid-Pacific football field. And it's another one of our modern hula pieces. But again, as we have said, in order to be able to push to other areas and move forward, how is that? In order to move forward, you have to have a firm base of your feet work, your traditions, and we hope that this focuses in on that. I love New Zealand. I love the Maori people and the way they embrace you. And so anytime I do this, I think about them. So I send this out to all of my whānau in Whakatane, in Auckland and Wellington, and to you all for joining us. And thank you for having me. Yuki, it's been wonderful chatting with you and sharing our love for dance.
Yes. Thank you.
Hear the waves as they gently kiss the shore. Summer breeze as it's blowing fresh and pure. Cry of gulls as they soar out to the sea. Mother Earth, she is calling out to me.
So had fun editing that, didn't you?
Oh, that was fun. That was fun.
And of course, we could never see that in a theater.
Never.
So there you
never.
go. You use the
Yeah.
technology well and the time.
Thank you.
So I think we've come to the end. I wish we could hang out and talk a little longer, but thank you again for everything, Lanakila, for sharing your insights and your recent work, and just how you are and how you teach, because that's been always magical to me to watch you teach and see the way you affect your students' lives, and how you keep them as part of the ohana for so long. So many of these dancers I've known as seventh graders, and now you say they have children and going on grandchildren of their own. So
Full
so that's
circle,
wonderful. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I thank you for that, and we'll keep in touch for sure.
Yes, it's been a pleasure being here, sharing with everybody and talking with you, my friend. It's been too long. So we will get together soon again to share.
And before we leave, I have to say a little shout out to our sponsors, and that is the National Endowment of the Arts, the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts, the East West Center Arts Program, the University of Hawaii at Mānoa Outreach College, and all the people, everyone who supports what we do with dance throughout the Asia and Pacific regions. So please join us again November 5th, where the next moving forward will be with Moss Patterson of Atamira Dance Company. So thank you, Lanakila. It was wonderful to see you.
Good night,
Yes.
everybody. Be safe, healthy. Aloha kako.